rough week. The people that are on the bottom right died in Australia, celebrating Chanukah. People on the upper left died at the hands of their son, we think, because of mental illness that just got away from them. We're not sure yet. And we've been trying to celebrate Chanukah. So, our tradition teaches us that the people on the bottom right are our family. And yet, many of us felt a much stronger reaction to hearing that Rob Reiner and his wife died than the people in Australia. Not everybody, but some. Because Rob Reiner felt like family too. It is one of the ways we understand the world we live in now, is that especially when there were 3 or 4 channels on the television, and 50 million people would watch All in the Family in the 70s every week. And when Meathead and Archie would go at it, the way people go at it today, but with a lot more love in their eyes than today, that was also family. In the Torah portion that Jews will read all over the world this week, we learn about the biblical Joseph. He had been thrown into a pit. He had been sold into slavery. He became the object of Potiphar's wife, who really wanted to dally with him. He understood that to be a sin, so he was thrown in jail. But he was a dream interpreter. And ultimately, this dream interpreter was brought into Pharaoh's court and ultimately became second in command of Egypt, a Jew, second in command in Egypt. His brothers, who knew that there were provisions to be had in Egypt, fled the famine in Canaan and went down to Egypt, where they did not expect to see Joseph and therefore did not recognize him. They did not recognize their family. But Joseph recognized them. Joseph knew them, knew of them, and knew about them. He was family, and he played with them at first. But what we'll learn next week, spoiler alert, is that ultimately the tie of family is the tie of family. The people on the bottom right of that picture are our extended family. And if those were Israelis, God forbid, there would be people among us who would be wondering what they're supposed to feel. Because we just kindled all these lights to celebrate the rededication of our temple, having taken it back in a war. Chanukah is nothing if it is not a war victory. But that feast of rededication, when we read from the words of the Maccabees, where we thank God for the miracles and for winning a war. And some wars we thank God for. But the war that just ended in Gaza, that's a war we thank God for ending, not necessarily for winning. Did the people in the bottom right corner die because of that war? It's unknowable. Because the people who hate Jews have hated Jews since the days of the Maccabees and before. The death of family on the upper left of Rob Reiner and his wife, that wasn't an act of hate. That was an act of mental illness, probably. And if it wasn't active hate, it was a momentary hate. It wasn't a hate that comes from being taught how to hate, being taught about anti-Semitism and being taught about people who are supposed to be lesser. When we celebrated Chanukah, for years it was because it was a miracle that the mighty few overtook the mighty many. We don't find that to be the miracle that it was in 1967 or 56 or 48, because too much has happened now. And we have to figure out what to do with things like this. What do we do when we feel like somebody from the television who we never met, but feel like we knew better than the people with whom we share a religion, who died celebrating Chanukah? And we feel a connection to them, but not that same strength. And how many of us, when disagreeing with our family, when not being able to put two and two together with them at the moment, are willing to take the breath and say, I recognize you. I know you. We are family. And we'll figure this out. The way Joseph does. And the way the Reiners did for so many other occasions with their son, and don't seem to have been able to at that moment, that day, but probably would have the next day. Which is such the danger of mental illness, that it's so hard to remember that there's always going to be tomorrow to fix things. If you can't fix it today, let's try and fix it tomorrow. But make sure that there can be a tomorrow. Had Joseph acted the way he wanted to, he would have killed all of his brothers, and they would have deserved it, according to the story. But what made him righteous was that he waited until the next day. And he didn't take the opportunity because he had the control to do something terrible. Could have. So Australia is going to spend time passing more gun laws. But it also has to work on making sure that we live in a world that doesn't know how to hate anymore. That doesn't want the opportunity to kill. But maybe wants the opportunity like Meathead and Archie used to have, to scream at each other, to disagree with each other, and then to love each other. Those four actors became a family, and in their way became our family. The way Jews all over the world are supposed to be family, whether we know each other or not. And also the way the brothers didn't understand family, thank God Joseph did. This has been a hard week. But I'll tell you, you all made it a little brighter by making some light in here, by bringing back somebody who I love a lot, and by meeting with each other on this Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.